It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, big show, here we go. Yes, it's the Geno Jones Show time. I come to you live Monday through Friday. That's my normal days. 7:30. We got a new start time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, about 7:30 here in the Carolinas. If you're in Chicago right now, maybe down in Houston and Texas, where the MAGA cult of the state of Texas, they've passed a law so they can basically rig the midterm elections by basically stealing 5 new House of Representative seats. We'll talk about that. I'll talk about that some, but I got a big show today. I don't want to talk about something else. Today, it's not an anniversary. I don't want to call it that. But this day, 406 years ago, was significant. Anyway, the Geno Jones Show brought to you by Kojo LLC, Cojo LLC, Courtney Johnson. She is a real estate expert. She is a commercial insurance expert. So if you're looking to buy a home or sell a home, or if you have a business that needs insurance, Kojo, COJOLLC.com. Kojo, COJOLLC. I want to put all these alphabets together. COJOLLC, Kojo LLC, Courtney Johnson. As a matter of fact, she is a new sponsor. She debuted a segment about 3 weeks ago, Courtney's Corner, which will return next Thursday, tentatively. That's the date we set. So have to check her schedule. All right, so I want to thank Courtney for being a new sponsor. If you'd like to be a sponsor of the show, if you'd like to advertise, I'd love to have you as part of the Geno Jones Show family. So shoot me an email, Geno Jones Show. That's how you spell it. Geno Jones Show at Gmail, and I can send you all the information you need, set up a meeting. If you want to support the show financially, we need black-owned media, and we need to support black-owned media now more than ever. Because Orange Hitler is trying to erase everything. He doesn't want the truth to be told. But my grandmother, Jean Jones, who I'm named after, she would say, Jeannie, tell the truth, shame the devil. Because the truth needs no defense. Some people want to try to remix it and bury it, but that ain't gonna happen. So, but if you like to support the show and black-owned media, this show, this media company specifically, your financial support, your gift will be greatly appreciated. You can Zelle or Cash App. You can Zelle Geno Jones Show at Gmail. Use my email address, which is a Gmail, Geno Jones Show. Or you can Cash App, $Dad G Jones. $, capital D, lowercase a, lowercase d, capital G, capital J, lowercase O-N-E-S. $Dad G Jones. No amount's too large or too small. Please leave your comments in the comment section. Please share the show. You can share it, tag it, copy and paste the link in an email or text message, however you want to do it. Once again, leave your comments until everybody call to action. Call to action. 100 new subscribers in the next 24 hours. As a matter of fact, about 96, but I'm rounding up. 100 new subscribers, and the show will become a YouTube partner, which means my media company and the show will get, it'll get some financial support. YouTube, get like a monthly income. I just want to thank everybody from the top for all your support, continued support, and those who plan to support the show. Now listen, this show is interactive, so everybody watching me right now live, I have a chat room. If you got a question or if you got a comment, you got something to say, just jump in my chat room. Watching me live here on YouTube right now is about 7:33 Eastern time, close to it, somewhere in that neighborhood. Please reach out to me. You want me to give you a shout out, whatever it is. Birthday, you got a question, you want me to answer, you got a comment, whatever it is. Jump in that chat room. Let me know who's watching. Let me know where you're watching. How you're watching, if you're watching it on your television, on your tablet, on your phone, whatever, it doesn't matter. I just appreciate you watching me live because we are here Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. All right, so let me just jump right into today's monologue. 406 years ago today, 20 Africans who were stolen, kidnapped against their will from Angola by some Great Britons who were pirates, who actually pirated or stole this ship that came from Africa, from Angola, with 20 Africans, stolen by some Great Britain pirates from some Portuguese human traffickers. So you had some Portuguese went to Africa and obtained 20 Africans from Angola to use in the slave trade, because countries like Portugal and Spain had already engaged in the slave trade from the 14th century on. And basically those enslaved Africans went first, they came to like Brazil was like one of the first countries. Before they were brought to America, they were taken to Brazil. Enslaved Africans, primarily Spain and Portugal, they started this bullshit, as we know, as you could call it. It really became chattel slavery when it got to America. But in terms of Africans that were captured and kidnapped and enslaved, started Spain and Portugal in the 14th century. They then took the enslaved Africans to Brazil and Colombia, and then the Caribbean islands like the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, and then they eventually got here. But it was primarily the Great Britons from the United Kingdom. Oh yes, those, not only the wealthy Great Britons, because they were a significant number, the majority of those Brits were poor. They called them peasants. Some were criminals. And I'll get into all that later. But the wealthy Britons, those who engaged in the slave trade, the human trafficking trade, 1619, on this day, August 20th. So you had this ship of human trafficked Africans that was stolen from Portuguese human traffickers by some British human traffickers and pirates. That ship was brought to Jamestown, Virginia, low coastal town, 406 years ago today. Hence, what we call chattel slavery started in America. Chattel slavery was a little different because some folks say, well, you know, slavery always existed. Now, not like this. That was a different kind of slavery where people basically, if your side lost a war, then you became a slave, but not like here, because, oh, they remixed it. The Brits, they remixed it. Chattel slavery meant that you had lost all, you were not human, you were property. And any children that you produced, a lot of that was done by rape, those children were property. They lost their humanity. And those children's that were born into the United States of America's chattel slavery, were enslaved. And they were not human. They had no human rights. They were property, like a piece of farm equipment or a wagon or whatever, you name it, a piece of furniture or property like a plantation. So that's when the United States chattel slavery officially began here in the United States of America, 406 years ago today. And that chattel slavery, so please send this clip, send this whole monologue to Jillian Michaels, who was on CNN. She's like a personal fitness trainer, supposedly expert, that was on CNN talking about, oh, when we talk about slavery, it wasn't so bad, and we just talk about slavery and all the time, and you make it sound so bad. And then Orange Hitler, Donald J. The J stands for Jackass Trump. All of a sudden, well, we got to change the Smithsonian Museum, and I've sent lawyers into the Smithsonian African American History Museum, because it's too much talk. You talk about how bad slavery was, and slavery wasn't that bad. We talk about it too much. No. Orange Hitler, Donald J. The J stands for jackass, swollen ankles, Trump, and Jillian don't know shit Michaels, who ironically adopted a black child from Haiti. I pray for that child. And you told her that, we talk too much about slavery when her ancestors were enslaved and they were exploited for money and power, for profit and power. Let's talk about money. The American economy at the beginning, the founding fathers, who the majority of them were enslavers. They owned enslaved people. George Washington had about 300. Thomas Jefferson had about 300. And he was raping teenage. Sally Hemings was a teenager that he raped and impregnated her multiple times. So this mythology about, Thomas Jefferson, he fell in love, and Sally Hemings, and they moved to France. He raped a baby. She was a teenager. She was property. She didn't have any choice. And he raped her multiple times because she got pregnant multiple times. So yeah, they did some good things. The Declaration of Independence and George Washington and all the mythology, some true, a lot mythology, but they were enslavers. But we don't want to talk about them because they were the founding fathers and they were great men. And for white wealthy landowners, that was in the original Constitution. Yeah, if you were a white wealthy male landowner, they were great for you. Were they great for all those enslaved Africans that George Washington owned, the 300 that he owned, the 300 that Thomas Jefferson owned, the 300 that Ben Franklin owned until I guess he got a conscience or something I've learned, and I guess he let some go. 6 of the first 10 presidents of the United States owned Africans. They were enslavers. The majority of the Supreme Court judges then owned our enslaved ancestors. Yes, Supreme Court judges, supposed to be the epitome of morality, but they owned humans. They were enslavers of our African ancestors. But no, we can't tell that. No, we talk about slavery too much. No, you know why we can't talk about it enough? Because much of the wealth in this country today, the root of most of the wealth in this country stemmed from chattel slavery. For probably the first couple hundred years, from 1619, even before America officially became America. But if you say, okay, the Constitution and America, birthday 1776, July 4th, 1776, still went on for almost another 100 years. The wealth that was generated, even before America officially became America, it was from chattel slavery. And the crops that enslaved Africans grew for the enslavers, those Europeans. Now some say, well, the majority of white people didn't own slaves. Well, the majority of white people don't own your major television networks. The majority of white people don't own the film industry. The majority of white people don't own the movie production, the film houses, the MGMs and the Paramounts, 20th Century Fox, New Line, all these major companies in Hollywood that make movies. The majority of white people don't own that. The majority of white people don't own your corporate media or legacy, traditional media, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, MSNBC or MS Now, CNN, the majority of white people don't own that. But the majority of white people, they engage, they watch it, they sustain it, they allow those industries to make money. They're supported. So Jillian Michaels went on CNN, well, only 2%. Well, it was a little more than 2%. But that's not the important part. The important part, that yes, the majority of Europeans that came to America couldn't afford to own and purchase Africans to enslave them. But the majority of Europeans somehow benefited from an industry. They became overseers. You know, those poor working class, those poor whites that came from Europe. A lot of them came here because they were criminals and they kicked their ass out. Like they basically, Great Britain emptied their prisons and sent all the prisoners to Australia. That's how you got Australia. Or that they were just poor whites trying to figure out a way to make a living. And it came from, you know, Great Britain, Scotland, the Netherlands, the ones that didn't have a lot of money, or the Dutch, Germany. They were Ireland, the Irish, indentured servants, which is almost like slavery, but a little different because they didn't lose their humanity. And basically they had to work, they had to work for wealthy white people. So they could, you know, have a place to live and to eat and take care of their family. They had to work, you know, they had to literally earn their keep by working for wealthy white people. But they didn't make money, they didn't make enough money to enslave anybody. So they said, well, a majority of white people didn't own slaves, but still those that didn't benefited from the system. Somehow they were able to earn something. They kept their humanity. Enslaved Africans had no humanity. They were property. The original Constitution said that Africans, men, they didn't even address women, were 3/5 human. We're not even full humans. That was written, codified into the original Constitution. So if you want to talk about, we talk about it too much. No, that was the slavery. It was the American economy for at least 100 years, close to 100 years after America officially became America in 1776. And actually before that, because the Europeans that came here before America was formed as the United States of America, from 1619, the ones that were wealthy were able to purchase those Africans that were brought here from Angola and West Africa, Ghana, and other countries in West Africa and the Ivory Coast. And those Africans were enslaved, like those 20 Africans from Angola that were brought here, who were human trafficked, captured and kidnapped by the Portuguese. And in that boat that the Portuguese had, those 20 enslaved Africans basically got jacked, carjacked, boat jacked by some Great Britons. Some British pirates literally jacked these Portuguese that had 20 enslaved Africans that they were bringing over here to sell to somebody. And these Great Britain thugs and pirates said, "Now, we taking this boat. We gonna sell these Africans." I don't know what happened to the Portuguese. Maybe they killed them. I don't know, and I don't care. But those enslaved Africans, from the 20 enslaved Africans that were brought to the shores of Jamestown, Virginia, 406 days, 406 years ago, 406 years ago today, up to the thousands that were brought here from West Africa drove the American economy. The wealth that America built and was generated fully and wholly from from the chattel slavery. And the labor, the free labor that enslaved Africans, basically the wealth that free Africans produced from their labor, the free labor from enslaved Africans, from growing and harvesting everything from cotton to indigo to sugar cane, they were doing sugar and sugar canes in the Caribbean, places like Louisiana, where they were growing sugar, cotton, places like Mississippi and Arkansas and other places in the South, tobacco in the Carolinas, indigo here in South Carolina, I'm probably sure North Carolina. That was America's economy. Now they talk about the tech, industry and banking. You wouldn't have a banking industry. The insurance industry came out of chattel slavery and how plantation owners and wealthy white people, they put insurance on enslaved Africans like you would insure a house or a car. Because remember, the enslaved Africans in America that were a part of what is called chattel, Chattel, Donald Jackass Trump and Jillian Michaels, chattel slavery, different than all the other forms of slavery that you had tried to address before the chattel slavery began officially in America 406 years ago today, August 20th, 1619. America's wealth, the insurance industry, banking industry, any kind of wealth. And that wealth was then used to start other businesses. All that wealth initially came from chattel slavery. So miss me with the, well, we talk about slavery too much and it wasn't that bad. Bullshit. It was horrible. It was worse than bad. It was evil. It was sadistic. It was satanic. And it was done, and it exploited a whole segment of humanity for power and profit. Really for profit and power, because it was always about the money. Follow the money first. So that happened 406 years ago today. And today I said, well, Donald Trump said, we got to change the Smithsonian African American History Museum because woke is broke, which was some corny shit. Did somebody write that for you, Orange Hitler? Or did you kind of come up with that when, with your addled, demented brain, with your swollen ankles? You need to go see a doctor about that. I'm not a doctor, but you might want to see a doctor because that's circulation. Something ain't right, partner. But look, you ain't my problem. Well, you are the world's problem right now, but I digress. So I want to make sure that any and everybody watching this, send this to somebody who needs to know. As a matter of fact, send it to some of the MAGA cult members and say, oh, you talk about slavery too much. No, we don't talk about it enough because it is a part of American history. You need to know your history. And you need to know, once again, that these wealthy white male landowners, who were the only people who could vote or had any kind of power, at the founding of America, your founding fathers weren't messing with poor white folks. Not at all. They didn't include you in the Constitution. You didn't have any right to vote. You didn't have the money to own enslaved Africans. So you weren't a part of that hustle. You weren't a part of it. They give you a job to oversee these enslaved Africans, where you could be cruel and beat them and maybe engage in maybe some rape, probably did, I'm sure. But that was usually the enslavers, raped women and men, primarily raped the women to produce more property that they could either sell, or more property in the form of human beings that could work the plantations and grow and harvest more cotton, more indigo, more sugar, more tobacco. To them, it would be like having robots now that work for free, that helps you generate all this money that you don't have to pay them a salary, you don't have to pay them overtime, you don't have to give them any health insurance, no pension, none of that. Our enslaved ancestors didn't have none of that. There wasn't no pension, wasn't no 401k plan, wasn't no health insurance, wasn't any dental insurance, none of that. Wasn't a union. So you didn't have to worry about union wages. You didn't have to worry about any kind of wages, nothing. They were property. And the more property you had, the more money, the more wealth you could build if you were a wealthy white male landowner. So you can't run for that. You can't run from that. You can't hide that. No, Donald J., the J stands for jackass Trump. Orange Hitler, you can't hide that. Jillian Michaels, Stephen Miller, Kevin Roberts, Russell Vought. These are like the masterminds behind Donald Trump. This in his administration, the true hardcore white nationalists, white Christian nationalists, that they have remixed this white racist or racist white-centered, because whiteness is made up like it's a con. It is a con game. It is made up. There's nothing in the human genome that will identify whiteness. Not at all. It won't identify any color. It will identify the part of the world, what part of this planet your ancestors were from, what region. Africa, Germany, Ireland, Italy, Eastern European, Asian Pacific, South Pacific. But it won't say, oh, you're 92% white. No, that shit was made up to pit poor white people or poor Europeans, because Europeans didn't call themselves white before the 1680s, against enslaved Africans. Because, it's in the 1700s, Google Bacon's Rebellion, where you had like these indentured servants, which were these poor whites, primarily poor Irish, who were kind of trying to work. They came from Ireland for whatever reason. Either they were criminals, had been in prison and got out and got kicked out of the country, or were poor and thought that they could, do better over here in America, who were indentured servants, who weren't part of the chattel slave trade. They were like slave light. They were like enslaved light. They didn't lose their humanity. They were still human, and they were like right next. The closest thing that Europeans that all of a sudden became white could get to being enslaved Africans were these indentured servants. Because they usually work together. Like I said, the indentured servants a lot of times oversaw. That's where the term overseers came from. Oversaw. They were to oversee the enslaved Africans. In Bacon's Rebellion, you had these enslaved Africans and these indentured servants, poor Europeans, Irish. So it was like, wait a minute. This is some bullshit. This dude, he don't like neither one of us. Hold on. Wait a minute. It's more us than it's just him. His little punk ass. Hold on. We can gang up on this. We can end this. This is some bullshit for both of us. That's basically what happened. You can do your own Google yourself, Chat GPT, Bacon's Rebellion. And that was a rebellion. Enslaved Africans and indentured Irish servants got together and was like, the jig is up, partner. This is some bullshit, and it's going to stop here and now. And it scared the shit out of these wealthy white men who owned land and enslaved Africans and virtually owned these poor whites, poor Europeans from Ireland who were indentured servants. They was like, oh, we got to just. So they had to really reprogram and remix the minds of these indentured servants, these poor whites. It's like, well, you're European. No, you're white like us. You're white. And those dark people are evil and dangerous. And their men are rapists and they're animals. And they have this superhuman strength. And they have these incredibly large genitals. And they'll rape your women. And your women will be ruined. And they'll never want to have sex with you again. And then, oh my God, it's horrible. They scared the shit out of these poor Europeans who were indentured servants. But just Google Bacon's Rebellion. So, no, we don't talk about chattel slavery too much. You would never tell a Jewish person that you talk about the Holocaust too much, nor should you. So you should never state to a black person, a person of African descent, or anybody, that any human talks about one of the most evil, sadistic, satanic, inhuman events or systems that any human could have ever created in the history of humanity, which was chattel slavery, where you had a whole group of humans that were captured, kidnapped, brutalized, beaten, murdered, raped, stripped of their humanity, their language, stripped of their culture, of their names, and everything. So a small handful of people could exploit it for profit and power, and then tell poor people to look like them that they should be cool with this system of oppression and this evil system, and we're going to make you a part of it. We'll let you oversee these people. They're not human. They're slaves. So you need to oversee them because they're dangerous. The men are dangerous. The women are dangerous. Oh my God, they're temptress. They got these voluptuous bodies, and they just have this superpower to where if you see one, you give in, and you give in to the carnal animal sexual desires, and you just want to have one of these voluptuous African women, and that freaked out the white women, of course, even though they was fantasizing about the brothers, because it was like, oh my God, these men all look at, oh my God, my husband doesn't have that, oh my. And a lot of this mythology or this ideology, and these Europeans created it. And a lot of this, all the mythology, these Europeans created it. They called themselves white when they got here. So no, we don't talk about it too much. Chattel slavery, the most evil, sadistic system that was created by any humankind. And as evil and as sadistic as the Holocaust was, it didn't go on for centuries. This went on in America really from 1619 all the way into the 1900s. Heck, you still have there are still rare cases of African Americans being lynched today, 406 years later. You had an entire, as a matter of fact, you had a legal system, a system that was created to legally oppress a whole group of people. That was the blueprint that was used to oppress and murder Jews in Germany and to oppress Africans in South Africa The Nuremberg laws, which was Germany's version of America's Jim Crow laws. Hitler sent German lawyers to the University of Arkansas. The University of Arkansas in 1933, I believe, in the early 1930s, to study America's Jim Crow laws. Like, y'all got this Constitution that said all men are created equal, even though it says Africans are three. But how did you get away with it? But then because after the Civil War and black men, they got their freedom and they were able to vote and they started businesses and became successful and were U.S. senators and got in government. And then you created these Jim Crow laws to basically to oppress and literally, they didn't quite, they were just one step up from being enslaved. Sharecroppers. Then they had to work. Basically, the same people who enslaved them, they wound up, after 1877, had to go back and work for these same evil men as sharecroppers. So they could make any kind, just barely enough to have a little raggedy ass, little shack for them and their family to live in and to make barely enough money to eat, those who were sharecroppers, unfortunately. And you still had some that were not. You had many black people who were successful, but still they had to fight because the entire system, the Jim Crow law system, was created in the South primarily. That's what the Confederacy was all about. To basically, to legally oppress and come as close as possible to make sure that black people had no economic, political, or social power and had no legal rights. All right, I'm not a teacher, but I just wanted to share that with everybody because today is an important day. And then when you have people who sit in the White House, and you got uneducated, incompetent ass people who wound up as y'all's president. Then you had totally unqualified people who, personal trainers that came on TV like they were some credentialed historian with PhDs, talking about, we talk about slavery wasn't that bad. And then she has a black daughter from Haiti. Can you imagine what she's teaching that black child? So I just wanted to drop that little nugget on you. Hopefully you enjoyed today's show. Please leave your comments in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you, please. Absolutely. I want to hear from you. I want to read your comments. I want to hear what you got to say. I want to hear your voice. Once again, when I'm on live, the show is interactive. So thank you. I'm just reading it. Shout out to my mother who is, she said this evening, educate, educators. Thank you, mother. And everybody else, listen, and I know people are watching me live now, so please let me know who else is watching. Jump in my chat room, leave your name, or just give me a shout out. Let me know who you are and where you're calling. Please leave your comments in the comment section when you watch live. The show is interactive, like I said, so just say whatever you want to say. You got a question or comment, or just shout out, whatever. Jump in that chat room. Hey, Rosalind, thank you. There you go. You out there watching today. Rosalind Anderson, thank you. Hey, Rosalind, I hope you enjoyed the show. Everybody else, Rosalind, mother, I don't want you to try to leave anything in the comment section below because my mom had eye surgery, so her vision is still not all the way back yet. So don't strain your eyes. But everybody else, y'all can help my mother out. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Tell everybody to subscribe to my channel, my call to action. Technically, I only need about 94 new subscribers to become a YouTube partner. That means that my media company and this show will get an income, like a monthly income, like a check. People don't do paper checks. But anyway, so YouTube will begin to compensate. I'll get money from YouTube. That will be, my media company will be compensated. I'll just keep it simple, get a check from YouTube for all the great my great audience and all the great viewers that tune in and all the comments and everything. And don't forget, click the thumbs up, give me the likes. You can copy and paste the link in an email or text message. You can share it on all of your friends, your families, your followers, everybody that follows you on their pages. You can share it. You can tag everybody that follows you. You can tag their pages on all your social media platforms. You can chop up some of this monologue, put it up on TikTok or Instagram or X, which is Twitter, or Facebook, Snapchat, whatever you want. What is a fan base? It's Isaac Hayes. Isaac Hayes III. Isaac Hayes' son, Isaac Hayes Jr. His fan base, his social media platform. So put it up there. All right. Once again, thank you, Rosalind. So the next live edition of the Geno Jones Show is going to be Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Once again, I want to thank everybody for watching. Let me big shout out to the official barber and hairstylist of the Geno Jones Show, Markel Bailey. He is the CEO of Designer Cuts here in the Charleston, South Carolina metro area. Check him out. Kel be cutting up on Instagram, KELBECUTTINUP. Allie Jones, the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check her and her Lexi Jones collection out on IG or Instagram, LX.NCL underscores that little dash, LX.NCL underscore. The Geno Jones Show brought to you by our new sponsor, CojoLLC.com. CojoLLC.com. Courtney Johnson. She is a real estate expert, and she is an expert in commercial insurance, like business insurance, insurance for your business. So if you're looking to buy a new home, if you're looking to sell a home, if you have a business that needs insurance, contact Courtney Johnson, Cojo, CojoLLC. And you'll see Courtney next Thursday, unless it changes. She is scheduled to come back, and you will get to see. We debuted it about 3 weeks ago, Courtney's Corner. So if you got a question about purchasing a home or selling a home or what you need to do so you can buy a home, or you have a business, or you about to start a business and you have questions about the type of insurance your business needs, Courtney's Corner will have all your answers, and you'll get a chance to ask her questions. You can jump in my chat room when we are on camera live. So shout out to Courtney Johnson, Cojo LLC. All right, I love you. I love you guys so much. Absolutely, positively, unconditionally love you. Just before I get out of here, so the MAGA Texas Republicans, or the MAGA cult in Texas, they voted to change the boundaries. So basically, they got to look. They know we're going to lose the midterms. So Orange Hill said, I need 5 more Republican seats. So that means you all got to go in and change like the boundaries, redraw the districts so you can get rid of all the black people like Jasmine Crockett, Brother Al Green. You want to get rid of their districts, change the boundaries in hopes that they lose so you can get more MAGA cult members and basically take away the voting rights and the voting power of black people and Hispanic, because Texas is majority black and brown, or brown and black, and that's the fear. So they've got to we got to make sure that they have no political power, and we do that by we rig. There was a term we used on the South Side, but I'm not going to use that term. You would rig it. I'm not even going to go there. They are white nationalists rigging these districts to take away any power that black people or black voters or brown, those Hispanic brothers and sisters, black and brown people with the power, to take away all the political power that they have, because they make up the majority of the population. That's the thing. That's the scary part. As a matter of fact, I think I saw a number, like 70% of the population of Texas is brown and black. But like 61% of white people in Texas turn out and vote. So basically, the majority of Texas, the local, the state government, state senators, the state House of Representatives, and that racist, ignorant ass governor, Hot Wheels, Governor Gregory asshole Abbott. So the majority of people, man, y'all got the power. And not just in Texas and Mississippi, 40% of Mississippi, African Americans. Here in South Carolina, we make up a third of the population, like 30% of people in South Carolina are black people. Man, we got to come together because that's the fear. But the thing is, they fear that we will do to them what they've done to us. And when they goes to show you, they're clueless. Their dumb ass don't even understand black people. Man, if we wanted revenge, it wouldn't be in America. We'd have shut this thing down a century ago if black people were truly evil and sadistic and satanic. If that was our DNA and our spirit, there would no longer be in America. We as black people just want to be left alone. I don't give a shit about you. If you cool with me, if you see my humanity, I see your humanity. And we are good. We can live as brothers and sisters. It's all good. I root for you. If you need help and I can help you, I'll help you. But if you come with some racist bullshit and then bring in that sexism and misogyny and keep all that other homophobia, we don't need any of that hate. If black people really wanted revenge, America would have ceased to exist, like I said, a century ago. So the bad part is these racist white nationalists, see, y'all projecting. You're projecting your evil, your evilness, your inhumanity. That evil spirit you have, you can't project that on us collectively, because that's not who we as people of African descent collectively, that's not who we are. Because if we were, this bitch would be burnt up a century ago. That is not us. We don't want revenge, retribution, not collectively. There might be some individual folks who may want to whoop some ass. No, I don't want to be bothered with you. If you're on some racist BS, I don't want to be bothered with you. But I don't wish you any harm. But don't get it twisted. If you come with some foolishness, understand, it's not going to end well. So tread lightly. Go on about your business. Because these white nationalists are going to collapse this system of government and this America as we know it. They will burn it down before they share power. But we are going to be good. We as African Americans and others who have a degree and see each other's humanity and have a sense of compassion and empathy and decency and morality, we're going to be good. Specifically, we as collectively as black folks, now there's going to be some isolated cases that we're going to have to send over there with the white nationalists who already engage in anti-blackness, Clarence Thomas and the Candace Owens and just that whole crew. I had to throw Tim Scott, one of the senators here and there. Byron Donalds, one of the House of Representatives in the U.S. House of Representatives in Florida. Yeah, there's some handkerchief head Negroes. Okay, y'all going over there with your master. Going over there take your anti-blackness with the rest of the white nationalists going over there. And good luck with that. That ain't going to end well, but good luck. Keep kissing ass and bending over and tap dancing. Yeah, yes, massa. And massa, who's that N-word, massa? You look in the mirror, partner. You look in the mirror. But we, as African Americans, as black folks in America, and not just in America, just the whole African diaspora, the brothers of the Caribbean and in Brazil and in Colombia and all the African nations and in Southeast Asia and all over. We are all we got. But we are all we need. And we got everything we need when we come together like the Black Avengers. Oh, yeah. We're going to avenge them, but we come together like the Black Avengers. Oh, it's happening. And a lot of it is happening. You ain't going to hear about it. They got folks like me with platforms, and we will make sure that we have platforms to not just to entertain, but use entertainment to educate and empower and enlighten and inspire and motivate and to uplift the culture, the community, our spirits. We are all we got, but we are all we need, and we got everything we need. Thank you for watching. I love you. We'll see you live Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central, 4:30 p.m. out on the West Coast. Please support Black-owned media. Please financially support the show. If you love the content, if you love what we do here, what I do here, your financial support is greatly appreciated, and it is absolutely necessary. So you can support the show financially. You can Zelle or Cash App. You can Zelle. You just use my email address. Use GenoJonesShow@gmail. All right? GenoJonesShow@gmail. So you can Zelle. No amount's too small or too large. You can Cash App the show and support the show financially. $, Dad G Jones. $, capital D, lowercase a, lowercase d, capital G, capital J, lowercase O-N-E-S, $, Dad G Jones. And I would love to have you as a sponsor, like Kojo LLC, my new sponsor here on the Geno Jones Show, KojoLLC.com. So if you'd like to be a sponsor, if you'd like to advertise on the show, I would love to have you as part of the Geno Jones Show family. Shoot me an email at that Gmail address, Geno Jones Show. That's how you spell it. GenoJonesShow@gmail. And I will get in touch with you. We'll set up a meeting. I'll get you all your sponsorship and advertising information. And join the Geno Jones Show family as a sponsor or advertise. Thank you. Thank you in advance. We'll see you live. Thank you, Rosalind, Mary Dixon, my mother, and everybody else has been watching and still watching. Thank you. We'll see you live Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of The Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.